The Jacobson family had it all: wealth, success, and a beautiful home in Wellington, Florida. From the outside, they were the picture of a perfect, loving family. But if there's one thing we've learned, it's that appearances can be deceiving. Beneath the surface, behind the walls of their dream home, lay a darkness no one could have imagined. And on what should have been a joyful birthday celebration for two little boys, everything unraveled in the most heartbreaking way, leaving behind a tragedy so profound the entire nation would never forget their names. And trust me, this is the kind of case that lingers, haunting you for days, leaving you with one chilling question. What kind of father could pull the trigger on his own family? To truly understand what happened, we have to go back to 1989, when Neil Mason Jacobson first met Frankie Sue Sulkoff. Their paths crossed at a gym in Bayside, Queens, New York, where both lived and worked at the time. From the start, they seemed like the perfect match: ambitious, successful, and deeply in love. Frankie was making a name for herself at the prestigious Lehman Brothers, a powerhouse in the financial world. Neil had already built his own boutique firm on Long Island. Together they were young, driven, and living what many would call the American dream. Friends and family admired their relationship, one built on devotion, admiration, and shared ambition. To everyone who knew them, Neil was the golden boy. Charming, intelligent, and seemingly unstoppable. He made things work, and with Frankie by his side, they appeared to be the perfect couple. It wasn't long before they took the next step, getting married and settling into Neil's home in New Jersey. Their transition into married life was effortless. Neil expanded his career in mortgage banking, launching his own brokerage firm, while Frankie continued to thrive in finance. Together, they built a life filled with adventure, biking, scuba diving, and weekend getaways. From the outside, they had it all. But there was one thing missing. Children. For years they struggled with infertility, enduring countless treatments, each cycle bringing hope, then heartbreak. But they refused to give up. Finally, in 2003, their prayers were answered when they welcomed twin boys, Joshua and Eric. With their new family complete, life seemed better than ever. They had a beautiful home, thriving careers, and two healthy sons. But life had other plans. Neil's parents, Harold and Goldie Jacobson, had moved to Florida in 2000. Though they loved their new home, they deeply missed their son and his growing family. By 2005, Harold's health took a turn for the worse, diagnosed with cancer. The thought of being far from his father during such a critical time was unbearable for Neil. Without hesitation, he made a firm decision. They were moving to Florida. Even before the move, Neil had been investing in Florida real estate. First, a pre-construction condo in Lantana, then another, then another. Real estate became an obsession. Frankie, ever the pragmatist, was skeptical. She questioned his growing investments, but Neil was convinced. He was all in. When he pushed Frankie to relocate, she resisted. She loved their home in New Jersey, their community, their life. But the financial burden of multiple mortgages became overwhelming. Eventually, she agreed. By 2008, the Jacobsons had settled into their new Florida home, hoping for a fresh start. But then everything fell apart. Harold Jacobson passed away just 2 months after they arrived. The loss devastated Neil. He had uprooted everything to be close to his father, only to lose him almost immediately. And then, as if fate was closing in, the Great Recession hit. Neil, a mortgage broker, watched helplessly as the real estate market crumbled beneath him. The Florida condos that once seemed like smart investments were now financial nightmares. The subprime mortgage crisis meant skyrocketing payments, 4 separate mortgages draining their finances. At first, Neil reassured himself that things would turn around. He had always found a way before, but this time, there was no way out. Savings drained, debt collectors called, the pressure mounted. Frankie, exhausted, finally made the painful decision to stop paying the mortgages on their Florida condos. It felt like surrender, but they had no choice. By late 2008, the weight of Neil's failures began to take a serious toll on his health. First it was small things, aches and fatigue, then dizziness, mental fog. Concerned, he went to a doctor who ordered a blood test. The results were troubling, his hormone levels were off, but no one could explain why. Soon after, he was diagnosed with depression and transient peripheral vertigo. His doctor prescribed Zoloft for depression. Neil took it, hoping for relief. But things only got worse. His mind darkened, his paranoia intensified. Then came the hallucinations. He became convinced the FBI was watching him. Neil's sister Deborah noticed the change. His wife, Frankie, confided in her sister. Neil was no longer the man she had married. He stopped leaving the house, stopped showering, stopped engaging with the world. Then in January 2010, the darkness took over completely. January 23, 2010. Neil woke up, walked to his wardrobe and reached for his gun. His hands trembled. Frankie, still groggy from sleep, watched in confusion, until she realized the terrifying truth. She lunged at him, fighting desperately to wrestle the weapon away. They struggled. He struck her, knocking out her tooth, slicing her finger. She fought with everything she had. But she couldn't stop him. 2 shots, Frankie was gone. Then Neil reloaded. He entered Eric's room. His son lay sleeping, unaware of the nightmare unfolding. Neil shot him twice. So Neil grabbed a pillow, pressed it over his son's face, and fired twice more. Next was Joshua, 2 shots, a pillow to muffle the sound. The house fell silent, his family, gone. What happened next was almost unthinkable. Neil showered, dressed, took Vicodin and Xanax. Scene 2, the drive. Then, in a daze, he got into his car and started driving to his mother's house. He had planned to kill her too. But before he got there, the drugs kicked in. He passed out at the wheel, veering off the road. When police arrived, Neil was barely conscious. The gun sat beside him, and then, in a slurred, broken voice, he confessed, "I killed my family." Was Neil Jacobson a victim of medication side effects, or had he planned this horrific act all along? A suicide note found later suggested that Neil had been preparing for this moment, leaving many to wonder, was this a tragic break from reality, or the actions of a man who simply snapped? In the end, the jury found him guilty on all counts. He was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. But the questions remain. Could this have been prevented? Were the medications to blame, or was this something deeper, something darker? I want to hear your thoughts. What do you think drove Neil Jacobson to commit such an unthinkable act? Let's talk about it in the comments. And if you want more in-depth cases like this, don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.